Hello, and welcome to my channel, where I talk about consulting and how to get a consulting offer. Before we start, I offer tutoring if you want one-on-one advice on questions like these, and there's a link in the description below to find out more. In this video, I'll show you how to answer a market sizing question on the number of vehicle repair shops operating in the UK. Let's get into it. Before we start, there are always 5 key things to remember when doing market sizing questions. First, ask for clarification on the question. You might be asked about an industry you haven't really heard of before, and a lot of times the question relies on information you wouldn't be expected to know, like the population of Dallas, or how much loft insulation material costs, as these would be hard to calculate from fundamental principles. It's okay in these cases to ask questions to help you before you start. Second, when making estimates, make sure you can defend if you are asked about them, because you will receive pushback from your interviewer on why you chose that figure. Third, although you can ask some clarifying questions, you will be expected to know figures like the population of the UK, which is 70 million, or occasionally New York City, which is 8 million. Fourth, work out what kind of answer you're expected to give, whether it's the number of items or the market size, i.e. the total value of those items. It's very easy to stop when you've reached the number and forget to multiply by the price to get the market size. Finally, at the end, bring the answer back to the question you were originally given in the interview or offer ways to improve the answer. So the question I'm asking today is, how many vehicle repair shops are there in the UK? See if you can answer it, ideally in 2 minutes or less. There is some information you might want to know before you begin. First, any car 3 years or older needs an MOT every year, and second, in the UK, it is expected to have both winter and summer tyres. Now, I'll give you some time to pause the video, and when you're ready, click play and we'll go through the answer. So, to start, we need to decide how to solve this question. It makes sense to think about how many people need to use vehicle repair shops to get the number of repair shops that are likely to exist. So let's start there. We can find this if we get the number of cars. While there are also motorbikes, buses, trucks, etc., there are fewer of those, so it will not massively affect our answer if we don't include them. There are 70 million people in the UK. Of these, only those aged 17 to 70 can drive easily. Say this is 60 million people, and not everyone will have a car, maybe 50% of people. This gives 30 million cars. People usually need to visit a repair shop 3 times a year. If their car is over 3 years old, they'll need a yearly MOT. In the UK, it rains a lot and gets quite cold, so many people have separate winter and summer tyres which need to be replaced. As well as this, cars will often need one-off repair work, but usually once the car is more than a few years old. So we can say, on average, a car goes into the repair shop 3 times a year. Some people will go in more often, maybe 4 or 5 times, but others will try to save cost and only go once or twice, so 3 is a good average. Each time this happens, an appointment usually lasts 3 hours. The work is never simple. If something is wrong with the car, the repair people must first find the fault, then if they need to replace the part, find that, try and install it, maybe buy a second one if the first attempt didn't work, and so on and so forth. This gives 9 hours per car per year. If a mechanic works 9 hours a day, Monday to Saturday, 50 weeks a year, this gives us 2,700 hours. 2,700 divided by 9 is 300 cars a year that can be serviced completely by a single mechanic. To service 30 million cars, you would therefore need 100,000 mechanics. A repair shop can be staffed by an individual person or be a big setup with 20 repair people. So let's assume on average 5 people in each shop. This gives us 20,000 vehicle repair shops. Now, we have reached an answer, but is it any good? Well, we can check online how many vehicle repair shops there are, and the best source I could find is 21,000 shops in the UK in 2020. We can also validate what parts of our calculation were correct, as the number of cars in the UK is easy to find, and it's 33 million. So overall, our answer was pretty good. But never be satisfied with just the first version of an answer. How could we improve it? Well, our figure of 3 hours per visit is pretty anecdotal, and it could be much longer if the car needs serious work, which is often the case for older cars or cars that are involved in accidents. The other figure that is more likely a guess than a solid estimate is the number of people working in a shop. I've walked past a fair number of garages here in the UK, and they always seem to only have space for a few cars that they can actually work on at one time, so we can be confident that our answer is on the right order of magnitude. But in an interview, this is the best place to ask for a number, or if this were a consulting project, to do a survey or a mystery shop to sample the number of workers at several repair shops. If this is part of a consulting case interview, at the end of a market sizing question, you'll be expected to mention how this number we have reached relates to the problem statement given to you at the beginning of the case. Since this is a standalone question, we can only guess what the next steps would be. Maybe a company that wants to set up a chain of vehicle repair shops is wondering if it's a good market to go into. In that case, we would need information on the demand to see if the market is consolidated or not. Maybe an international vehicle part manufacturer is looking to supply the UK and wants to know if there would be a good demand for their services. So knowing in our case that there are already more vehicle repair shops than we estimate are needed in the UK is an important figure to have. Even without the problem statement, lots of interviews use market sizing, and they might make the question more complicated. From the number of repair shops, we could be asked what the car repair industry is worth. To do this, we could look at what the average person pays every time they go to a repair shop, probably £200. We already know that the average car owner sends their car into the shop 3 times a year, and with 30 million cars in the UK, this gives us an £18 billion industry. Now it's your turn to answer. What was your final number, and how long did it take for you to reach it? How did you go about solving it, and how would you solve the extension questions I was asking? Let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and please check out my other videos where I go through more consulting interview tips and tricks. Let me know what questions you have or what type of questions you'd like me to go through next. If you're applying to consulting companies this year, I offer tutoring for questions just like this, and you can follow the link in the description below to find out more. Thanks and goodbye.